departure Quebec. 0954. Runway 25 right for departure. Taxiway Echo 5 closed.
See, this takes so much energy, guys. All right. JetBlue 1012, Lieutenant November, join Alpha and contact ground on Guanano. Good afternoon.
6 knots.
Clear to land, runway 33 left 4. Good evening. You guys should come up here one day. You'd enjoy it. You'd enjoy the show. Clear to land, 33 right. Boca Hagati, 0.7. Thank you very much.
And live from undisclosed location here in this upstate snowy and cold New York. I'm Radek Wyrzykowski here together with
John Roberts down here in sunny Florida.
God, what the opposite.
Sorry.
I bet you are not. So welcome to Plane Talk, and this is Plane Talk Classic Edition, I should say, because, John, we're going back to our format that we started on October 5th in 2011.
Wow, time sure flies. We're not the only ones that fly.
Yeah, I never forget, us sitting in this closet there, Norwood, Massachusetts,
That's right.
pretending that we are in some professional studio.
That was great.
That was really fun. So that is basically what you can expect from now on. And we are going to be live. We're going to be actually streaming on Facebook every other Monday starting when?
Starting on the 22nd, and we'll be at 8 o'clock at night, Eastern time.
And you will be able to interact with us via text messaging, and then we're going to bring back our call-in number. So what are we going to be talking about today? We are talking about IMC VMC clubs and a little bit about format of this show, what we are going to be doing from this point on. And in our second segment, we will be talking about Wings program. What is Wings program, John? Do you know it?
Well, I know that it's a pilot proficiency program, and it's not mandatory for pilots, but it's just another tool to learn to fly safer. I imagine share some information, and I think in some cases, correct me if I'm wrong, Radek, if you go to certain types of seminars, you actually get points, you get credits that can be used for for proficiency. But it's just a great. I know it's a great program. That is the objective is to make us fly safer.
Let's find out if it's really great, if it's working, and if people really know what it can or cannot do. And then third segment, redundancy, extra equipment on board that you were never thinking about that you should have.
Oh, that every GA pilot should have.
Every pilot should have.
Yeah, that's right. Every pilot. That's right. Every pilot. Yeah.
Okay, so with that, let's go to our plane talk.
Welcome to the internet, my friend. How can I help you?
We're online.
All systems go.
And in your face. You are listening to the golden microphones of the IMC radio. News, opinions, and your calls.
You gotta see that big picture.
Sometimes if you stop the machine, then you realize, whoa.
You have to have some foresight and think about what kind of an effect is that going to have on air travel.
How important is aviation to you?
So yes, definitely aviation is important to all of us, and that's why we do have this Plane Talk, and I will call it Plane Talk Classic.
Plane Talk Classic, absolutely, yeah. That was back at Oscar Whiskey Delta.
For
those of you that know the Northeast, we're at Norwood Airport, a great little GA airport in Massachusetts.
So John, I know you had your first VMC club there in Florida. Not really first VMC club, but you had the first VMC club. I really had some excellent, some meetings that I really want to tell you about. But some breaking news, if you will. I don't have this breaking news effect. I have to add it on to my console here. But 2 weeks ago, we broke 200 locations. So we are now 203 VMC and IMC clubs nationwide, primarily, but I should say worldwide because we have some in Canada and we have some in Australia. So what do you think?
That's right. Over 200. That's unbelievable. It's been it hasn't been that many years. We never thought it would get this far. It's great. People seem to be taking to it and staying with it, because a lot of times things that may start with a big bang, but this seems to have distance and has longevity. And we hope it's just the start of a whole new wave of people getting together and discussing aviation and safety and sharing their experiences.
So how did your first meeting go? I mean, what were your... Actually, no, wait a second. You had your second meeting. You flew
First
solo.
Yeah, I did. It was great. I used a instead of a big projection on the wall, we used a nice little high def TV for a scenario, very interesting scenario, and everybody was engaged. It was great. We had a couple of instrument pilots that fly twins. We had a couple of air controllers that also fly. So it's a really interesting group of people. And again, this is at Lantana Airport. The second Monday, Lantana Airport. Well, I'm sorry, it's called Palm Beach County Park Airport on Lantana Ave.
That's
I get that mixed
a
up.
very strange airport because it has so many names. That
It does, yeah.
But
it's the second. But for those of you in Palm Beach County, it's the second Monday of the month at 7 p.m. and it's just a great group of pilots. There are IFR, there are instrument rated pilots, and like I said, there's also former air traffic controllers. But we just discussed the scenarios. It was great. It was great, kind of leading it, and it's just amazing how the conversation can get going. The biggest challenge sometimes is to keep it on point, because there's just so many fascinating aspects of flying a plane and experiences that people get off into their own thing, and before you know it, I have to kind of pull them back in, and but we had a very interesting scenario, and I'll just say this: imagine if you took off in a light single engine, and you still had your tow bar attached. And what would you do? And,
you better only imagine this, because if you start practicing that, we don't want that to happen. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do this at home, right, Radek?
But at the same time, it could happen. And John, to be honest with you, I had myself situation that we did forget to take off tow bar. It was on SR-22.
Really? Okay. Yeah, it can. Well, what surprised you too? There's an air traffic controller that was at Miami Center for 20 years. So he said he's seen it about half a dozen times. So it's not that rare. It's not
but
that.
At the same time, we're lucky enough that we had one of the line people. First, we're sitting in the airplane going through the checklist, and there's a line guy waving to us, so I waved back to him.
Yeah.
And I thought he just likes the airplane, because those were the years that Cirrus was not that popular. That was
right.
2003, they were just starting up, with this new glass. So he waves back, and I wave back to him. But then, I'm thinking, okay, he's just showing that, cut off the engine. So that's what we did, and apparently we did have a tow bar attached. And with a tow bar on Cirrus, I'm not really sure how it would play. It was kind of hanging on a wheel cover.
Oh, right, because there's a wheel cover, so it couldn't actually go down that far.
Correct. So, but at the same time, there is a prop that I'm not really sure if it would clear the prop. It would have been very interesting. So myself, yesterday I went on Sunday there, but yesterday I came back from Independence, Kansas. I don't know if that's that's the place where Cessnas are being put together.
I didn't know that. Independence, Kansas.
Yeah.
Has it always been
Wichita?
there?
It used to
Wichita.
be in Wichita. They apparently moved the plant. And, very interesting situation, because I was contacted by EAA chapter vice president there. And, he was kind of concerned that, they're in the middle of nowhere, and there is not that much interest when it comes to their chapter meetings. And he wasn't sure if he really wants to do a VMC club there. They don't have many instrument-rated pilots. But to make a long story short, I said, okay, how about we do this? I'm going to organize one of those open IMC or VMC club meetings. I will come over there and, I will run one of the scenarios and tell everybody about what it is. And then you will go from that point on. If people are not interested, it's fine. So I go there on Sunday. Monday morning, I look out the window, and it's snowing like crazy. So I'm thinking, okay, nobody is going to show up at that meeting. Meeting was supposed to be at 6 p.m. in the evening. So I go to the airport, I try to find it, and John, it's so flat there that I wasn't, with all that snow, sometimes I wasn't sure if I'm driving on a cornfield or on the road.
Really?
Because there are no signs. It just, you have to go where the tracks of the car, before you are on the ground. So I get to the airport, separate EAA building, literally in the middle of nowhere. I see a few cars in front of the building, so, I go there. What turns out afterwards, with a room full of pilots, some of them drove 60 miles from other places to be at that meeting. And everybody was so excited at the end that definitely they are forming a new VMC club there, and everybody is going to be participating.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Wow, 60 miles.
But at the same time, you know that within 100 miles, they have no flight instructors.
Really?
Yes. They actually have to fly to get their flight reviews. Biannual flight.
Wow.
There is nobody there. So my suggestion was, for somebody to move there and make millions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And something else, Rock. When they make these planes over there in Independence, they're going to need people to fly them out, right? They're going to need people to, Cessna use their own people, I imagine. They don't grab instructors from schools, or you have a certain. Do you need a type rating to take out a new plane?
No, not really. They have their check pilots, and basically, every new airplane has to go up in the air and be tested. So that's pretty much what it is. But they, all those people are not CFIs. I'm assuming that not all of them, and they simply work there. They are staff members. So, but what they are looking for is a CFI who would be local there in the area, and fly with people for various reasons. People do need to fly with flight instructors.
Yeah, you would think that somebody would jump on that,
Yeah, that would be, that if you want to do it with parachute, I wouldn't talk about jumping.
Yeah. But wow, so that's great. So that's Independence, Kansas. Wow.
Yeah, and what a great group of people. That was, I would say, general aviation classic.
Is it really? Yeah. Okay. Just now, and tell me, what was the age group? Was it very varied?
It was actually, there were some kids 12 years old.
Oh, okay, great.
People
Got it.
came
Well,
with
great.
families. That's the way it happens. So
Nice.
I hear this music in the background. We are out of time for this segment. So again, Plane Talk Classic.
You are listening to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio. Plane Talk, more fun than a pilot should be allowed to have. general aviation talk show on the web.
So you're listening to Plane Talk, and I'm Radek Wyrzykowski from snowy upstate New York, together with
John Robertson in sunny Florida.
God, that
sorry about
sounds
that, Radek.
wrong. That sounds absolutely. It feels like you're trying to rub it in. Okay.
But you could take off in half the distance I could today.
True.
Pretty cold up there, huh? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's cold and snowy. So that's been the situation. So what are we talking about now? Wings, right?
Wings. The Wings program. It's a pilot proficiency program, and how long has it been in effect, Rag? You might know.
Okay, it's been for years, and they were revamping it, so they were changing it. It was a very simple, straightforward, and actually you would complete those phases.
And was it,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, is it not sponsored by the FAA?
Yes, it's sponsored by FAA, and you had 3 phases: basic, advanced, and master. And then literally, once you would go through certain training, ground, flight, you would get endorsement, you would mail in that information to FAA, and then they would give you, upon completion, they would give you actual wings. They will give you basic wings and advanced wings
and okay, interesting. Okay, and does it have any effect on one's insurance?
It does a little bit, depends on insurance company. But the biggest thing was that, once you went through the phase of wings, you didn't have to do your biannual flight review, which was called, biannual flight review. Now it's called just flight review.
Really? Because I thought that was just regular by the flight review was regular by the FAA and required every 2 years with no exceptions.
No, that is Wings is one of the exceptions. However, they started complicated things and everything moved electronic. So at some point, basically, they moved everything to their website. They complicated that website, so any older pilot who is not really good with computers, they have absolutely no clue what to do there.
Oh, jeez, okay.
And then they eliminated the actual wings rewards. Now they are just saying, okay, yes, you have your basic wings, but they don't give you those wings.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So it's it's another tool in your belt for how to fly safe or how to be safe. That's what this is all about.
Yes,
right?
But it's apparently there is very little participation. I think it's something like 30,000 since they're revamped of their program. I think it's something like 30,000 pilots participated in the actual completion of Wings phases. So why do you think it's not working?
That's because I know everyone is going online for a lot I
but you are a pilot. Did you take any Wings program?
I did not. Why
not?
I can't really say other than I did. I don't know. I felt like I was getting enough knowledge and practice for a while when I was, active. I can't say. I really can't say.
Because I'm always curious. I mean, we are all pilots. Myself, of course, I'm sitting in it. I am one of the FAA safety reps, so, I know it very well. So for me to navigate the FAA website, which is faasafety.org, it's very easy. But, for someone just like yourself, private pilot out there, I mean, why didn't you enroll and go through
I guess
phases?
I guess I didn't either didn't hear enough about it. I mean, I I heard it mentioned, but I didn't know enough about it. I didn't look it up. I just didn't take the initiative actually to just go find out what it was and jump in. But the people that I knew, and including some of my teachers, didn't really push it. So that's why we're talking about it.
So what would I have to do, before this conversation to make you, if you will, want to participate in Wings program? And also, by the way, there was in October of last year of Flying Magazine, there was an article written by Martha Lunken, if that's pronounced correctly, and she retired from the FAA Wings safety team, and he wrote a very critical article saying that, they get paid high salaries and, there's a lot of money in a budget, and really very few people complete those phases, and the program should be canceled.
Huh. I'm sorry. I was just.
I know you're shocked, but you're speechless. But
I'm trying to think why nobody. I didn't hear it a lot in, when I think about, in the private pilot handbook, it may have made a mention of it, but come to think of it, why would it not be? Because I love anything that can help you be safer, and any kind of programs or reading. But I think part of it is, Rack, is everyone's gone so online for information. And again, that's part of the reason why we got into create IMC and VMC clubs, because people are sticking their heads into the computer. Maybe when this program initially came out, maybe there was more talk about it. Maybe it was, more people were using it. Come to I just felt that the training, the flight training I was getting, and the people, the pilots that I was hanging with, I felt I was pretty safe and safe enough, and I felt like I was getting all the information I really needed to be safe. I mean, you can always be safer, again, I'm your typical private pilot that I've heard of it but never really got into it. I can't say why.
But at the same time, you did, because you did, participate in IMC club meetings, and you did qualify for Wings credit. And here is my theory on it. I actually believe that what is happening, I think I've seen more people participating in those safety seminars that give them Wings credit than statistics that officially show pilots completing those Wings phases. So I can give you my own example. I haven't completed any phase at all, but I have tons of credit there. A lot of my credits expire and I never use them. And for me, the reason for it is that I don't really care if they tell me that I have basic wings or advanced wings. For me, I care about going to the seminar and
learning something,
exactly.
Right,
and
right.
The rest of it, I'm not one of those people that, you have wall full of, different kinds of boards, award this, award that.
Right.
It's I don't really care about it. And I think that is what happens with most of the pilots. But that's, it's an untested theory, so I'm not sure if I'm wrong or right. I mean, how about you, John? I mean, do you really care if they would give you those wings or no?
No, that wouldn't matter that I got the physical wings. It's really the knowledge you want. And it's interesting. You just made me think of something interesting. It's like I've gone flying at times with people, and they were PIC, and maybe I was even in the back seat. Or even if I'm in the front seat and flew a little bit, I don't run over to my logbook and log that I did 15 minutes PIC. It's more about I'd rather just have the knowledge. And even and it's surprising, sitting in the back seat and just listening to the two people in the front seat as a pilot is fascinating. And I may make a note of it in my logbook just to remember it. So I was back seating with Ken and Radek, and an interesting situation came up. It was really fun watching them tackle it. And well, like with the IMC and VMC clubs, people go because they really want the knowledge. They don't need to walk out with a pin or a star on their forehead. You know
how much unlogged time I have? I don't.
Oh, I bet you got a ton. Yeah.
Because at some point, once you have all your certificates, then you really start logging things that you need to show that you're current. That's
right.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I hear the music in the background again.
Okay.
So next segment, we are going to be talking about redundancy.
You are listening to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio. Plane Talk, the only general aviation talk show on the web.
So, you're listening to Plane Talk. I'm Radek Wyrzykowski here from, again, snowy and not sunny, upstate New York. And I'm here together with
John Roberts from here in sunny Delray Beach, Florida.
Just keep doing it to me.
I have to enjoy that. But at least there's no hurricane. At least there's no winds out there today. So we got the East Coast covered, Radek. We got the whole east side of the country covered. And we're going to talk about redundancy in this segment.
Yes.
And all the things that we all need. Make sure we have a backup to our backup.
So redundancy. For example, we have two hosts here, right? So in case I drop that, then you keep talking till the end of the show.
No, but I mean, aviation is the gold standard for redundancy. When you think about it, just the simple magnetos in an airplane. 2 spark plugs to each cylinder. And I think I told you, right? But for you people out there, they have 3 main computers on a space shuttle, and actually, one would say, wouldn't 2 be enough? And normally 2 would always be enough. One computer goes down, the other one takes over. There was actually one time the second computer was in jeopardy. It didn't actually fail, but it almost did. But they had that third computer because you need a backup for your backup. So we're talking about that today on a more personal level as pilots flying, whether you're flying a 787 or a Cessna 152. Right, Radek?
Absolutely. And, when I think about redundancy, I'm thinking about not only equipment, but also, your backup plan, your plan B and plan C. That is your redundancy too.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, let's say you're on an IFR flight plan, and both your airports, your primary and your secondary, just all of a sudden went down to 0-0, or the winds were just crazy. You're right. You need a backup for your back. Although a 180 is not a bad thing. There's no shame in a 180, right, Radek?
Yes. But at the same time, we don't think about things, we always have a list and plans and, all that redundancy. But, for example, imagine this. I see your glasses on your face here. By the way, we are connected via Skype with John.
Right.
So are you far-sighted or nearsighted?
I can see more far-sighted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say suddenly your glasses go in between seats and you cannot find them.
I was just thinking about that funny thing about having two pairs of glasses or a pair of glasses with a strap on the back. I mean, to have that little, so if the glasses were to fall, they would fall on your chest and you wouldn't lose them.
Somebody just wrote me recently, and he actually submitted this as a scenario, which we're going to produce for our VMC and IMC clubs both. But he was flying along and says that he is not able, including myself, I couldn't read charts without my glasses. And I would actually have problems setting up frequencies on the radios. I am farsighted, mostly. But,
right.
He just got a new pair of glasses. Apparently, he didn't test them in flight, but one of the lenses popped out and went in between seats. Now what do you do?
Oh, a lens pops out in between seats. I suppose you'd have to just... Well, geez, you have to close one.
You're in trouble if you cannot read your charts.
Yeah. I would actually, in the case of that, I would actually, if I have to close one eye for a while, and I would just go land at the nearest airport. I'd go find the closest airport. And I know it sounds crazy.
Flying with your eyes closed, okay.
No, flying with one eye. But you're right, though. For your depth perception with one eye, landing there's an exercise for you. Try landing a plane with an eye patch. Yeah. See how different that feels. Just the fact that you don't have that depth perception as well. No, that's a good one. Why a lens popping out of your eyeglasses? Nobody would have an extra lens handy, would they? Yeah, no, that would be a tricky one. It's funny because as Radek knows, but when I got licensed in my 50s. And I was just going through the vision change, and I remember getting to the point where I was having to really strain a little bit on looking at the radio frequencies and looking at charts in the plane I was using cheaters at the time, and that's tricky. That's tricky.
So things of that sort. It's I definitely would suggest, and that is what I'm going, because for now, I mean, what I have is a regular pair of glasses on my nose, and then I would have sunglasses in my flight bag, and depending on the time of day and how much light we have, I would use one or the other. I never thought about having second regular pair of glasses just in case.
That's because who would have thought that you're right, a lens could pop out. You grab it and a lens pops out. You got to find the lens.
One of your passengers could sit on it.
Right, and break it. That's right.
Break it.
Yeah.
So the same thing goes. I know somebody who is flying with two iPads just in case. I think that's definitely
a good idea. That's a good idea. Especially today with there's less paper in the cockpit, we're more dependent on electronics. Definitely two iPads.
So what else?
Well, there's the obvious batteries and pencils or pens or.
What about if you go on a long trip? Like myself, I have to pee every 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You could use one of those things, but then what if it's full? Should you have two of those?
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, you should know your own limit, but yes, it wouldn't. Something like that. That's a silly little thing, but no, maybe you should have two. Maybe you should have two if you're going on a long flight. And even if you're not going on a long flight, what if you go on a flight that turns out to be a long flight for reasons unknown?
Absolutely.
You could be doing a 40-minute hop over to the vineyard, and something changes, and you end up flying up to Nashua, or
you could be flying for 5 hours. You could be actually burning off fuel somewhere before you land. And that's another good point, because I could never imagine myself using one of those devices to pee in the airplane. But you're absolutely right. I mean, if I plan on a 45-minute flight and then something bad happens, and adding on the top of it me having to go to the restroom, that could be a problem.
And then put some turbulence into the equation. That doesn't help because now you're bouncing around a little bit and like, oh, geez, no. Whenever I fly, every time I just try to make sure I get the last drop, so to speak, to make sure, because we get up there and like you say, it could be simple as a headwind, makes you a little bit longer, or you have to go around something for some reason, or there's a TFR that you didn't plan for, or actually, I shouldn't even say that. We should all know what TFRs are. So what else in a plane would you need, Braddock? What about, let's say you get up, would it be smart to have some aspirin? Let's say you get a really bad headache, or she keeps some crackers in the car. Let's say your blood sugar tanks.
Water, everything. So things, when it comes to redundancy, the way I think of it, everything that you may have to use, but you're not necessarily going to think that you're going to be using on this flight. Every time I would go fly up with my students when I was actively still teaching, I would always walk in with this large flight bag, and I had everything in it. And people sometimes will look at me and say it's only traffic pattern. But
right.
Somebody could be landing and there would be a crash at the airport. We have to go somewhere else, and something else develops, and who knows what may happen. So unfortunately, John, that's the end of our classic plane talk.
That's it? That flew by.
So our live show starts Monday 22nd, 8 p.m. streaming on Facebook, and we will be letting everybody know how to access it.
And that's 8 p.m. Eastern time, everybody.
8 p.m. Eastern, and also you will be able to interact with us via text messaging for now. I hope we get a lot of comments, questions, and everything that goes with it. So thank you for listening to Plane Talk.
And thank you for listening to Plane Talk. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
And until next time, I'm Radek Wyrzykowski signing off.
And I'm John Roberts signing off. Fly safe.
Thank you for listening to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio.